Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Ruth Maille. She's returning to the show to celebrate the power of gratitude, unlocking hidden treasures. We thought that Ruth and her message about reminding kids to live gratefully is the perfect way to end 2021, because even though it was a difficult year, even though 2020 and 2021 were both difficult years, there's still a lot to be grateful for. Our family, our friends, our imaginations, the hope that we have that 2022 will be even better. I know we have a lot of authors that listen to the show, and many of you have been very frustrated at how difficult it is to promote your book, especially during the pandemic. School visits aren't possible. Bookstore signings are very few and far between. We would love to help you celebrate your book here on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. There are so many different ways. If you go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the Authors Click Here button, you'll be able to find out how you can be a guest on the podcast like Ruth Maille and tell thousands of people about your fantastic book. It's easy, it's fun, and it doesn't cost a thing. No need to pay anybody to facilitate your visit. You can also learn about our Certified Great Read program. Ruth is the author of 3 Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Reads. The Power of Gratitude is her latest. You can also find out about our monthly promotion program, where we will celebrate your books through commercials on the podcast. And by the way, they're there forever. As long as those episodes remain on our feed, those commercials, those messages for your book will be heard by people. And we have people downloading our shows from 2017, 2018, every day. So this is a promotion that lasts for years and years and years. Oh, and that promotion package also includes messages to our I think we're up to 64,000 plus social media followers. And your book's art will be displayed on our nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards. Our boards are in Boston, Atlanta, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Albany, New York, and Toledo, Ohio. Learn all about it by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button and scroll on down to our various services. Joining us right now from the cutest little state in our nation, the beautiful state of Rhode Island. Our guest is returning to the show to celebrate the 3rd book in her Power of series. This book is called The Power of Gratitude Through the Eyes of Children. Please welcome back to the show, Ruth Maille. Hey, Ruth, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Jed?
I'm wonderful. I'm so excited. Both you and I are waiting for snow to hit our area, I think.
I think it's supposed to hit tonight.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm grateful for is that we can survive a snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And
Me too.
I love this book, The Power of Gratitude, because I read a book, maybe 10, 12 years ago. It was about the science of gratitude. I think the name of the book was Thanks, a look at the science of gratitude. And in it, it was a very, scholarly book that talked about all these experiments that prove that people who live gratefully are healthier, happier, can endure pain longer, and lead better lives and live longer.
Yes, there's a lot of scientific evidence when you can look at a situation and pull out why you're grateful for that situation, whether it's a good or a bad situation. It can change your way of thinking and how your health can get, how healthy or unhealthy you can be. So if you can constantly look at what is grateful, how you can be thankful for the things that you're in, you eventually start to rethink your mind and start to start to see things in a more positive way, in a more kindness way, in a more grateful way. And that leads your life. That's gives you the ability to point out the good things that's happening.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, it makes common sense, but there's a lack of that these days. You know, if you're always looking, and you use the old expression, you know, the grass is always greener. If you're constantly looking out and seeing what other people have and what you don't have, and you're constantly focused on, I don't have this, I don't have that, I need this, I need that, instead of sitting back and saying, you know, I live here in the United States, and even if I'm the poorest person in the United States, I'm still better off than 90% of the people in the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this book actually came about when I was talking to the kids about what they were grateful for. And I started to do some research, and I actually researched over 100 children and asked them between the age of 4 and 8. And I asked them what's something they're grateful for in their lives. And I took the most unique situations and ideas from the children, and I actually elaborated on it. Like one little girl said, you know, I am very grateful for ladybugs. And I said, really? I said, what makes ladybugs so special? And she said, you know, number one, she said, they are, they're so cute, and you can count their spots. And then she went in to say that ladybugs eat the insects, right? That like to eat the plants and kill the plant and kill the bugs on the plants. And so she went through this whole process of why ladybugs are so special. And her grandmother was actually the one that taught her this stuff. So through that, I found out that ladybugs are not just red and black. They're black with white spots. They're orange. They're yellow. There's several different colors. So there's a lot of species of ladybugs. So there were very interesting ideas that the children gave me, things that were so important to them that we as adults or even other children might not have noticed. Mm. And I did a reading one day with the book. It was one of the first readings that I had participated in. And the teacher was the only one that was not muted, so I couldn't hear the kids' response. But every time I would read a page, a couple of pages would go by, and she'd go, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So it was really cool that children were teaching us some things as adults, right?
Yeah. We should remind everybody that Ruth is a veteran daycare operator and teacher. Remind us, how long have you been running your daycare?
31 years. 31 years teaching preschool to all of my children, and they're really the inspiration behind all of my books. Yeah. So it's been 31 years.
Yeah. There's a look on Ruth's face that's almost saying, but not out loud, I can't believe I've been doing this for this long.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Every day is a different day, and every day, you know, I try to look at, you know, even the hardest of days, I try to look at, okay, what's the great thing? Like when they start to talk and when they start to do all the fun things that they, you know, learn how to do, it just makes it so rewarding. So, you know, and some of the stuff that we learn, you know, one of the little children that is in my daycare, we learned about the life cycle of a pumpkin. And when I was doing research, that child said, well, I really am grateful for jack-o'-lanterns. And I said, why? And he started to tell me that, you know, it's because when you make a jack-o'-lantern over time, the face always changes. So as it starts to rot, it changes, but then you can take that pumpkin and instead of throwing it in the trash, you can put it back into the ground and it reseeds and it makes a whole new pumpkin a year later. And so that was special.
Yeah.
Right? For him as well as for us. So, yeah. So that was another one of the really like J is for Jack-o'-lantern. This is an ABC book. So the actual name of it is The Power of Gratitude, Unlocking Hidden Treasures. And what it is these are all treasures of gratitude in the book. And what you're doing is as you explore, as you open your eyes to new experiences, you're actually unfolding and opening these hidden treasures. Yeah. So that's where the name of it came from.
That's awesome. You know, Ruth, I just discovered a science experiment that was going on in my van when I went out to find my gloves and my boots today in preparation for the, coming storm. I found that there had been an avocado that had rolled underneath one of the seats, and it was petrified. I have no idea if it was there for a week or probably closer to a year, because it didn't resemble anything. It took me a while to figure out what it was.
What it was? Oh my gosh! Yeah.
I'm wondering, Ruth, over the 31 years, and so we're talking 31 years, and you're talking thousands of children that you've cared for and had some really deep, close relationships with. Were you able to tell which kids had that kind of grateful outlook in life? You know, was it really obvious to you that, this is one of those kids who is just so appreciative of everything that he or she has? You know,
we live every day in my preschool and daycare. We live with the idea of kindness and love and gratitude. And so if we do get a challenging child, it doesn't take very long for them to join us on the train of gratitude, because that's what we do every day. Like, it's not something you turn off or you turn on. And what happens is, as I said, the science behind it is that the neurons in your brain start to connect. And when you start to look at what somebody did that's kind to you, or what you did for somebody, and start that rippling effect, or how you're grateful for, a garden, right? A carrot from a garden. Or one little girl said her imagination, right? She dreams that she's going to be an Olympic skater one day. And that's her imagination coming wild. And so she's grateful to have that ability to be able to dream like that. So when you start to do that over and over and over again, and it becomes second nature to you, that's what happens, is you actually bring more gratitude into your life. And you reap the benefits of it. So all the children that I've had, I have been really blessed with very, very good, parents that have supported me and had my back, as well as really great kids. I love the spunky ones. I love the ones that kind of give me a little bit of run for my money, because I know that they're not doing the things that they're not supposed to do, quote unquote. They're not doing it because they're doing it to be mean. They're doing it because they're being curious. Truly and honestly, if you just look at a child, you ask them why they did something, they will in fact have their own reason why they did something. And they don't live in the future. They live the now, right? So when they're jumping off of a, picnic table or something, they're not looking at the future like, oh, I could break my arm. No, they're like, this is fun. So, I just think that gratitude, when you start to point things out, and really make it known, like, and it can happen at a very young age. I mean, I have an 18-month-old that talks about being kind. She will say, oh, I have to be kind. That was kind. That was nice. Right, Ruth? That was nice. So, and she has a great vocabulary, so she can actually, speak like that. And she knows the difference when she's not being kind and not, because her facial expression shows it. So I think that there's never too early of an age to start reading to them and to start teaching these character traits, to start helping them to be the best version of themselves that they can be. Because we're not trying to change them. We're just trying to let them see the goodness in the world, because there is a lot of goodness in the world. And when you start to reap the goodness in the world, it starts to come more and more and more.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to teach this lesson at a very, very early age, because very soon your 18-month-old, who's very bright, has a great vocabulary, is able to identify when people are being kind to her and when she's being kind to others. She's going to have a device in her hands pretty soon. And she, at that point, is going to be bombarded with messages, negative messages every day, telling her what she doesn't have, telling her what she needs, telling her that she deserves something better. All these messages being sent out by people who just want her to buy something or want her to feel a certain way. And we know that this is happening. We know that social media pages are intentionally feeding us stuff that is going to make us angry, and because we respond where we stay glued to the screen longer. So we need to give our kids some defenses for that. We need to help them understand that, no, life is good. We are blessed in so many ways.
Exactly. And they need the tools to be able to navigate. You know, when they hit kindergarten, all of a sudden their world becomes a little bit bigger. And they need to be able to understand that, yes, there is some parts of, you know, the world that's not very kind, not very, people are not grateful for the things that they have. But if they can be grateful, if they can be kind, then they're making a difference in the world. And so many children, I mean, if we just stop and listen to our kids, we actually can hear what they and actually listen. We actually can see what they're saying. They are much smarter than we think. Yeah. And they have the ability to make changes and to make a difference in the world. So, you know, this is a tough world that we're living in, but if we can just keep on giving them positive things to look at, pointing out where they can be grateful for something, even when something doesn't go their way, they still can be grateful for that because it's teaching them a lesson. Mm-hmm. You know, even when we have little discrepancies during the day, you know, we stop and we talk about it. How did that make that person feel? How did it make you feel? You know, you didn't do it on purpose. You know, they don't normally do things on purpose. It's not like they're, you know, even the older ones, it's an instinct, right? It's our survival mechanism. And so they react to it in fight, flight, or freeze, right? And so they're just doing instinctually what they were born to do. And so by teaching them, well, maybe you need to take a couple of seconds to breathe so that you can get that idea from the back of your head to your prefrontal cortex. That's what's going to make the difference between making a choice, a good choice or a bad choice. So I think there's lots of tools that we can give our children at a very young age that will help them, because eventually what happens is it becomes second nature. Mm-hmm. And they start to do things. They start to realize, oh, that look on that face. Oh, wait, stop. Let me take a couple of breaths and make a choice on that. Mm-hmm. Do I react? Don't I react? So, you know, and as adults, we have the same problem that, you know, that they do. We have more years that we have to fix before, mm-hmm. you know, and I always tell even my brand new parents, you know, I always say to them, you know, our children come into the world like a computer, right? They're born with exactly what they need to survive, right? And then every person that walks into their life is putting some sort of a program into their life. So you have to be very choosy on who you have your children be around. And I think that that's so important, you know, to recognize this, you know, is this environment a good environment? If it's not, then it's not going to do your child any good to add that program to their already existing programs. Yeah. So.
And the same goes, I think, for media. Is this book something that's going to add something to my child's life? Is this song going to add something to my child's life? This television program? Do I want my 12-year-old on social media right now? Probably not. One of the things, and I want to go back at some point and ask you, because you're saying that Power of Gratitude, Unlocking Hidden Treasures, is an ABC book. So there are a couple letters that I want to ask you about. Okay. Unlock a couple of those letters. But beforehand, you were telling me before the show that you love being out at live events, at fairs, book fairs, craft fairs, and that recently a seasoned salesperson came up and said that you were really great selling your book. I don't want you to sell me your book, but I want you to tell me as if I'm just meeting you at a craft fair. And I say, hey, you have these 3 books and they've won some awards. Why did you write these books? Tell me about these books. What do you love about these books? Why should I bring them into my family library?
So I usually start off by just saying, I'm a children's book author. I'm local. I love everything that I put into my books come from children. So I love to listen to what children have to say, and I incorporated it into the book. And the first book was obviously about the pandemic, and it was an ABC book, and I was on a Zoom with my children, and they were very sad, and I was trying to spin it into a positive way and showing them all the positive things that were happening in the world, because my idea was that the history books are going to write all about the other stuff. I wanted something for the children to be able to grasp onto and to be able to look at the beauty of the world, because there were some really beautiful things going on. Yes, it was horrible, but there were beautiful things going on as well. When the second book came along, we were actually sitting at the lunch table and we were having snack, and one of the kids said something, and their response wasn't very kind. And I said, "Ooh, that's not very kind." I said, what is kindness? And so we started this big conversation about kindness, and the kids were the ones that came up with the whole idea of what kindness was to them. And they came up with so many unusual examples. Like one little girl had just adopted a dog from Puerto Rico. And she knew that if they hadn't adopted the dog might have died. So to her, that was being kind. Another one it was kind when Grandma and Grandpa babysat them so Mom and Dad could go on date night. So these were all things that came out of the mouths of children. And that's what I love about why I write these books, is because I feel like I'm giving a voice to the children. I'm giving a voice to what they feel is important in their lives. And if we know what they feel is important to their lives, then it can become important to us. And there's the bond. So, the gratitude one, I was just curious, and curiosity is one of the best qualities you could have, because if you look at things with curious eyes instead of judgment, you end up coming out with so many treasures. And that's really why I write the books, is to help children to navigate the world that we're living in right now. Very different from when my children were younger, because my children are in their 20s and 30s. I just tell people this book is about character traits. It's about bringing the best out of your child. It's about seeing the goodness in the world. And it's about sharing that with your child, with grandparents, and exploring, finding out what it is that's important to them.
Yeah. Well, what's important for me right now is to unlock a couple of hidden treasures. So let's see. How about the letter G?
Letter G was garden. The letter G. So G is for garden. And my newest character, Trent, is actually the one that says, "I help my mother in our garden. Everyone in my family is grateful to have enough food to eat. We always share our fruits and vegetables with our neighbors and other people who don't have as much as we have." That's very nice. I am sure they are very grateful for the food they share with them from your garden, says Orbit. So Orbit, of course, is in this book as well as the other two books.
Awesome. And my beautiful wife's first initial is S.
Oh, S is a good one. We're on the cusp of finding some good snowflakes. So S is for snowflakes. And again, one of my new characters is Rosie. And Rosie says, "My aunt told me that no two snowflakes are alike. I think that's pretty cool. I'm grateful that snowflakes are different and unique. Just like us," says Orbit, "we are all grateful to be our own individual selves."
Awesome. Well, I know.
Can I share one more with you?
Absolutely.
That I think is pretty cool?
Absolutely.
Okay. This one I thought was probably the coolest one. And this is the X one, because you know how hard X is, right? So I actually went through a lot of kids to get this one. And then one of the kids shared this with me. X is for kiss. "What?" shouted Matilda. "How can X be for kiss? Kiss begins with the letter K," shouted Trent. Orbit had a big grin on his face. "Well, you're right," he says, "but we also use the letter X to mean kiss. And here's another secret. We can also use the letter O to mean hug. When we write the letter XO, it means kisses and hugs. wow, I'm grateful that my mommy and daddy write XOXO on my birthday cards and for their kisses and hugs, says Matilda.
Awesome. Awesome. You know, I almost asked about X, but I'm glad that you shared that with us. That is really, really cool. Well,
Yeah,
I know.
they're very unique answers, very unique letters that go with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Xray for no, not. Yeah, I'm grateful for an Xray when I get hurt, but wow, so cute. That's really cute. Well,
Yeah.
I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about the power of gratitude, unlocking hidden treasures. Your other two books, we should mention that both The Power of Positivity and The Power of Kindness are Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Reads. Our panel is currently reviewing The Power of Gratitude, and there's a good chance that this interview could be introduced with an announcement about that book. But where can they go to find out more about these books?
So, of course, they can go on Amazon, but they can also go on my website, which is just ruthmaille-author.com. And they can purchase any of the books there that will be signed. And then I send a little extra treat in all the books.
Ooh, that sounds great. Well, I'd be grateful for the special treat.
I've got your books right here. I'm just going to mail them.
We've had a great time, as we always have a great time, speaking to our guest, Ruth Maille. Be sure to check out The Power of Gratitude, Unlocking Hidden Treasures. What is your child's first initial going to unlock? I can't wait to find out. Hey, Ruth, thanks so much for being with us.
Jed, thank you so much. I always have such a blast with you. It is so much fun to be on your show. Thank you for the opportunity.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We'll be kicking off the year 2022 with a conversation with Dr. Rand Anbar. He'll be here to celebrate changing children's lives through hypnosis. It's a fascinating conversation, and, you know, hypnotism, it ain't what you think it is. It's a fascinating field that can help many kids. It can help many adults, and Dr. Rand is going to let us know all about it. That's the next episode of the podcast. Hey, if you are the author of a great children's book, like we said before, please do visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page to find out how we can help you celebrate your book and let parents know that your book is worthy of their consideration. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Ruth Maille. Please be sure to check out The Power of Gratitude, Unlocking Hidden Treasures. And check out all of Ruth's Power of books. They're really great. They're all certified great reads. Also want to thank my team, Alhan Doherty, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.